we are, trekking along, week 3. I do have to say though, this night after Rico's pool party, I I egged Rico on. He broke his truck. Then his dad had to take us back down to our cars, and we sat in the back together, and like our legs were like touching, and it was just really fun. But it was awkward because Rico's dad was mad, but we were just like sitting there and like little touches and things, and it was really exciting. And then I got out of the car, and you were like, "Oh, do you need a ride home?" And I was like, "Actually, no, my car's here, but thanks." And it was just really cute because you were like, I don't know, you seemed kind of nervous or something. It was just cute how you asked, so I had to put that in there. All right, next week, FHE again. Here we are, Monday, service project. This was the service project at the Oakley Cemetery, and after all of this, our friends kind of started to notice that you had taken an interest in me, and that I, kind of been like, oh, he's cute. And so all of our friends were giving me so much crap. Like, they would not get off my back. And it was making me really mad because I just don't think that's any of their business to ask about or to know about. Like, I was kind of upset about it. And none of them had taken the chance to just pull me aside and ask me about it. They always did it in a group setting, and they were really mean about it and just teasing me, and I thought it was really rude. And so I was pretty upset about it at this point. And this night, Seth and Rico and Logan, was Rico with him? No, it was Seth, Zayden, and Logan. They come to pick me up for the service project, and they show up at my house, and the entire way to the cemetery, they were just egging me on. They were being so rude about you. And anyway, we get to the service project and we pull up, and you were there. They saw you there, and they're like, "Oh, Abby Slade's here. Are you gonna go over there and say hi?" And like, I looked at all of them. I was so mad. I was like, "You know what? It is none of your damn business what I do, so you can stay out of it." And I was like, "If you want to know about Slade and you can ask me personally, but stop bugging me about it." And like, I got after them because I was really mad about it. Anyway. So I told them all off, and after that, they were all kind of like, "Oh, okay, fine, sorry about it, sorry." And so I had this like chip on my shoulder. I was like, "Oh, these stupid boys." And that whole like that day again, like you didn't really like, you were kind of doing your own thing, and I wasn't really by you, and I was by all of these the Oakley boys, and they were making me so mad because they were just standing around and talking, and they were not doing work, and I was like raking, and I was like hauling these big things of weeds, and I was like, "We're at a service project, you guys need to do something." But I remember looking over at you, and every single time I looked over at you, you were like, you were working, and you were working hard, and you were just laughing with people, and you were just being so good, and I was very impressed by that. Because if you watch people during a service project, 90% of them are just not doing anything, and there's like 10% of the people that are working hard. So I was really impressed by that. I was very impressed that you were there to work and there to do the service project. And then, I get in. Brother Beck was like, "Abby, get in the side by side and go pick up all the weed piles." And I was like, "Okay, well then." I can't remember who was with us in it. It was like me and I think it was Seth or Logan. I don't remember who it was. And you're like, "Hey," and you jumped in and you're like, "I'll help you pick up weed piles." And so we were just going around picking up weed piles. And I was always sitting on the outside, I'm pretty sure. And then Brother Beck, he stops us and he's like, "What are you boys doing? Don't you know that he's like, "What are you doing? Put her on the outside." And he made me go like sit in the middle, and we were all kind of laughing because it was kind of awkward but kind of funny. And I was like, "Oh, I'm sitting by Slade," ooh. And I was really excited about it. And that was just a really fun night. And then after, we were eating donuts afterwards, and I was by you, and I was like, "Hey guys, like, let's watch a movie," because Logan had never seen The Greatest Showman, and neither had Seth. And so I was like, "You guys are idiots. I have been gone for 2 years and I still have seen it." And so I was like, "Let's watch it at my house." And so I invited you, and I was like really hoping you'd come. I like had texted you because we decided to do it, I think, like after you left or something. So I like texted you. I was like, "Hey, we're gonna go watch The Greatest Showman." So you show up, and you kind of were over sitting by like I all of everyone sat down, and you kind of sat down so that there was space next to you. So I like look up to where I'm gonna sit by, and I was like, oh, there's Room by Slade. And I at this point was still mad. I still had like that chip on my shoulder. And honestly, in my head, I was like, I am gonna show, if these boys want something to talk about, I'm gonna give them something to talk about because I'm sick of them and it's none of their business. And so I like go over and sit by you, and kind of like I'm sitting there, and you like weren't really pulling any moves, really. And I was like, oh, what am I gonna do? And I pulled one. I've never done this in my entire life. I lay down next to you and I like start cuddling with you. That like I don't know where that came from, but I was like, I need this boy to cuddle with me right now. And so I had to pull the first move. I pulled the first move in our relationship. Me. I did that. All me. All me. Woo. That was like a burst of courage that I've never had in my entire life, and that was very exciting. And we cuddled, and then afterwards you kind of stayed behind so that you were the last person to leave. I walk you to my front door, and we were just talking, and I was like really nervous to be around you, and so I was kind of like hugging my pillows and like was standing by the banister because I was like, oh my gosh, what have I done? What have I done? What have I done? I was like, crap. Like I cuddled with this boy, but now what do I do? I don't know what to do about it. I like was freaking out, of course, as per usual. I was freaking out, but I was trying to be cool on the outside. Anyway, we were just talking, and you were kind of getting ready to leave, and I was like, okay, this boy asked me on a date and he hasn't set up a time or anything. And I was like, you know what? Like, I want to go on a date with him. So I, again, had a crazy, weird, like, euphoric experience where all of a sudden my body was asking you, so when are you going to take me on that date? I said those words. I don't know if you remember that, but I was like the one to say, so when are you going to take me on a date, huh? And after I said that, I started freaking out again. I was like, what have I done? And then you were like, well, how does Thursday sound? And I was like, great, perfect. And then you were like, okay, well, see ya. And we did that awkward hug thing. And I like had my pillows, but I was really nervous to be around you. So I made that hug like the most awkward thing in the world. It was so awkward. My sincerest apologies. But I was really excited after that night because I was like, I am the ballsiest woman alive. Like I cuddled with him. I asked him on a date. I was freaking out though. Like it really did make me so nervous. And so Tuesday, I don't hear anything from you. And because you were like, I'll text you details about what we're gonna do and when I'll pick you up. Wednesday, don't hear anything from you. And at this point, I'm freaking out. Like I'm calling Rico. I'm calling Rendy. Well, the day of our date comes, and I don't hear a thing. Like, I didn't hear anything from you. And I was like, oh my gosh, what if, like, he doesn't want to go on a date with me, but he feels like he has to go on a date with me because I asked him about it again. Like, I honestly thought that. I was like, he does not want to go on a date with me. And I was freaking out. I called Rico like 12 times that day. I called Rendy a ton. I was like, I don't know what to do. Like, I feel like he feels like he has to go on a date with me. And I was like, but if he wanted to go on a date with me, he would have reached out and told me what we were doing, but he didn't. So I just feel so sick. Like, I was like, I feel awful that he feels like he has to go on a date with me. And Rico's like, oh my gosh, Abby, you're fine. Like, just text him. And I was like, no, I don't want to make him feel like he has to go on a date. Well, finally, I listened to Rico. And I think I called you. It was like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Like, it was getting towards the end of the day. It was like 4:30. And I was like, hey, are we still gonna go on a date? And you were like, oh yeah, I'm super excited about it. We're gonna do it. And you're like, how does 7 o'clock sound? And I was like, okay. But I just was funny because like that was the first time I had ever heard anything and had to call someone about going on a date. You were like, yeah, we'll do 7 o'clock. And this video is getting really long, so I'm gonna end it here. And I'm gonna tell the story of our first date in its own video because that was like a milestone. So that will be its own video.